Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Was this really what someone wanted to do? Not only did it hurt her, but it also hurt her son. How could they take something so valuable that she had given as a gift? Both she and her husband were upset. They had to find out who was responsible. So when they finally saw the footage they had seen, they couldn't believe it. Michael and Ellen Wright thought they had the best life possible. They wanted to be together for the rest of their lives, and after they got married and had 2 kids together, everything was great. Then, when they found out they were having a third, they couldn't believe it. But things would change soon, and not for the better. They waited until Ellen was 3 months along to be sure, and then they told their family. People were so happy for them. But soon, happiness would be taken away from everyone. After being pregnant for 9 months, they lost their child. They were sad for months, and then they chose to give him the proper funeral he earned. They spent money and did things the right way because they wanted to do things right. They made a sign that said, "Gabe Wright, son of Michael and Ellen Wright." There was also a beautiful cross on it. What they did for their son made them feel good. They did everything they could to help him. But they had not thought of everything that could happen. Michael and Ellen wanted to honor their child and spend some time alone with him before having their other children over to honor their brother. Michael would change out the old flowers with new ones every time they came to visit. But Michael began to notice that something wasn't right. The last time he went there, a week ago, the flowers were gone. They had been replaced, but it was strange that they weren't there anymore. But neither of them could have known what was going to happen. Michael and Ellen noticed that every time they went, other guests had left more gifts. Gabe's folks knew that even if he never got any of them, the love shown was more than enough. Many things, like a flag, pinwheels, and other great toys, had been left behind, but soon they saw something very strange that they couldn't explain. Michael and Ellen went to Gabe's gravesite every week to help them feel better. After spending some time alone, they could bring their kids with them. Even the family dog came to show his thanks. Their kids set down some of their favorite things to give to Gabe. They told him they'd be back next week, but they had no idea what they'd see when they went back. Ellen saw a horrible sight. A week ago, they had left dozens of gifts, but today it wasn't the same. All of the toys, including the prize pinwheels, were gone. Ellen didn't know anyone would do this, so she didn't know why they were gone. She could feel her anger rising, and she wanted to know who did this. Michael told Ellen that everything was going to be fine. They would do everything they could to get the gifts back. He had a lot of ideas running through his head. Maybe it was a raccoon? Maybe they weren't supposed to leave things at the cemetery? Michael had to find out what it was. Michael thought of a dozen reasons that were much worse than the ones he had already thought of. He really hoped that one of the things he thought was true wasn't. It made people sick to their stomachs. He thought that cemeteries were holy places and that no one would steal from the graves. Take the most valuable things that the loved ones of the dead gave to them. There were no security cameras at the graveyard, so Michael would have to leave his own setup to catch the person who stole the body. But he didn't want the thief or anyone else to see his camera and take that too. They would just lose again, and the thief would win again. Michael knew that the only way to catch the person who did it was to come up with a clever plan. Michael got a small camera that didn't have any lights that the thief could see. He painted it brown and put it in the trees so no one would find it. Now all he had to do was wait. But when Michael watched the video again after a week, he couldn't believe what he saw. There was the grave of his son, and there was the person who had taken the toys and flowers. And it was nothing like what he had thought it would be. Michael asked Ellen to look at the video and tell him if he was seeing what he thought he was seeing. She ran in eager to find out what had happened to the gifts they had left for their son. She didn't know what she was about to see, though. On the video, the person who did it can be seen sniffing around the toys that were put on Gabe's grave. Then, the dog, which is clearly a stray, takes them away one by one in a quiet way. When Ellen saw it, it broke her heart. Did the dog live there all by itself? They needed to know. The next day, Michael and Ellen went back to the graveyard and saw that all the toys were gone. But the dog was nowhere to be found. Even though they were angry about the toys going missing, they were still determined to find them and help if they could. Ellen started walking around Gabe's grave in a wide circle. She heard a noise all of a sudden. When she got close to where she thought the noise had come from, she didn't know what she was hoping to find. But as she made her way around the gravestones to an older part of the cemetery, she saw a huge hole under one of the gravestones. From a distance, the hole looked like it had been dug out, but some brown sand was still in it. When she got closer, she saw that it wasn't dirt. The dog was hiding under a pile of dirt that it must have dug itself. The dog looked scared when it saw Ellen, so it moved deeper into the hole and shrunk even more. Ellen was taken aback. Why was there a dog here? She knew that it was normal for dogs to miss their people, but she had never seen a dog make a den out of Gabe's toys. She asked Michael to come. Ellen tried calling and singing at the dog to get it to come out of the hole, but it was clear that the dog wasn't going to move. No one knew how long this poor dog had been there or if it had water or food. Was the dog that Gabe's things because it missed its owner? After a long time, Ellen's voice seemed to get the dog's attention. It came out of the hole for a moment to say hello. But as soon as it came out, it turned around and went back to check on something before going on. What did this dog have to hide? They would soon find out. Ellen and Michael couldn't believe what they saw when the dog moved out of the way so they could look into the hole. This dog wasn't sad about her owner. Instead, she was protecting her puppies. The stray mom had her puppies in a small cave she made under the tombstone and filled with toys. Ellen was shocked by what she was seeing. This poor dog just wanted to protect her puppies, so she dug herself into a place she thought was safe. She gave her dogs toys and flowers to make them feel better, so she must have been someone's pet at one time. Ellen and Michael knew they had to help her and were willing to do anything they could to do so. Ellen said in an interview, "You can see the den she made and how small it was. It wasn't the best, but it was all she could find." The pups were fighting to stay alive, so Michael went to get dog food while Ellen waited with the dog and her pups. They were very weak, so it was lucky that they were found, Ellen said. Both the pups and their mother were starving. Ellen had no idea how long this dog family had been without food or water. Ellen was no longer scary to the mom dog, and she even let Ellen pet her. When the pups smelled the food on the ground, most of them moved quickly toward it and ate it as fast as they could. But some had a better chance than others. Some of the babies were so weak that they couldn't even move. Ellen was now afraid for them. She knew she had to get help, so she got out her phone and called a place she knew would be willing to help. The local NSPCA took all of them in right away, and once the mother dog knew they were all safe, she went to sleep for a long time. The dog family had its own safe place where they could all sleep warmly, drink clean water, and eat good food. All of them got skilled medical care. They were all healthy, but they still needed a lot of food and rest before they could be put into the adoption program. All of the puppies' bellies got bigger, and their fur got shiny. Who knows what would have happened to these kids if Ellen and Michael hadn't helped them? But what about all of the things that the dog took? Ellen, Michael, and their kids chose a few important things that they wanted to take back to Gabe's grave, but they decided to give the rest to the poor dog and her puppies. The lonely mama dog was looking for warmth and human contact, which she found at Gabe's resting place, just like the Wrights had. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.